Now to Texas, where apparently Governor Rick Perry is thinking about hoarding gold. According to the Texas Tribune, the governor has teamed up with State Representative Giovanni Capriglione to draft legislation that would create what would be called the Texas Bullion Depository. Here's what Capriglione told the Tribune, quote, "We don't want certificates, we want our gold. And if you're the state of Texas, you should be able to get your gold." So with the backing of some Texas lawmakers, the governor wants to transfer the state's gold reserves from New York back to the Lone Star State. And you've heard the argument for going gold before. Former Republican Congressman Ron Paul has been a very vocal supporter of returning to the gold standard.
Paper money is a moral hazard, encourages people to make a lot of risky investment, malinvestments, and they overdo things, they overinvest.
So could Texas realistically switch over to the gold standard? And what would it mean for the state and the rest of the country? To discuss, Wayne Allen Root, the author of the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, joins us now. Welcome there, Wayne.
Yes.
So what would switching to the gold standard, what would that do for the state of Texas?
Well, first of all, the gold standard would be great for the whole United States of America, but politicians will just never allow it to happen. It's a Ron Paul idea, it's a Rand Paul idea, it's a Wayne Root idea, and it's a Governor Rick Perry idea, and I fall into those exact themes of politicians. I love those guys, but they're never going to let it happen, Liz, because the gold standard limits the imagination of politicians who love big government, who love big spending, who love big entitlements, who love big unions, and who love big taxes. You can't spend money you don't have or print money you don't have when you have a gold standard. So on a national basis, I think it would be fantastic for the United States to go back on the gold standard, because all the problems of America have occurred since 1971 when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. That's when all the debt of this country accumulated and all the obscene spending and the obscene salaries and government pensions that are bankrupting this country. Now to Texas. I mean, Texas, Liz, does everything right. My book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, actually has a key chapter about the state of Texas and how fantastic things are going there. They've got the best economy in America. They've now moved to the #2 size-wise economy in America. It's one of the 20 biggest economies in the world, and they've created more jobs in the last 10 years than all the other 49 states combined. They do things right, and they're right to be suspicious of who's keeping their gold. The Federal Reserve in New York, is it really there? Can they get it when they need it in a crisis? That's what this new Texas gold standard is all about. Bring the gold that we own in Texas back to Texas. Let us guard our own gold and take possession of our own gold to show that we have stability in our state. When a business moves here and they want to know about our stability, Texas can show them not only is the economy great, but we've got gold to back it up. And it's in our possession. Yeah. We know where it is.
Now, I want to ask you, Wayne, critics of the gold standard say that it limits economic growth because there's only so much gold, as you said, that you can't print off more gold. So that seems like a major downside to the system.
Well, you know what? The only thing that limits economic growth turns out to be the Federal Reserve. I'll give you one of the greatest stats of all time, Liz. The Federal Reserve was founded in 1913. And its only goal was to protect the value of the dollar. And since 1913, on the day the Fed was founded, the dollar has lost 96% of its value. Better stat than that even. If you had $1 million in 1913, and I talk about this in detail in my book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, if you had $1 million in 1913 and you put it in the bank, meaning you kept it in dollars, today it would be worth $40,000. Because it's gone down 96% value. If you put the same million in gold in 1913, that same gold that all these experts and government bureaucrats and politicians hate and try and tell you how terrible it is, it would be worth $87 million today. So it's a difference between having 40,000 or 87 million to leave your kids and grandkids. I think gold turns out to be pretty darn good, and politicians turn out to be pretty darn stupid.
Well, it sounds like you're a huge advocate for this gold standard.
Well,
I don't think you try to make that a secret. I do want to ask you, I want to get to this, because not too long ago we covered this petition that was going around. It was going around several states, but Texas really gained a lot of popularity in the state of Texas, this petition to secede from the United States and create its own government. So now Texas switched over to this system. They would have their own currency. So I know this is talking like a long shot, but if this were to happen in the state of Texas, could that feasibly make it possible for Texas to operate on its own?
Well, I'll tell you what, Liz, it's a real long shot. I doubt it's ever going to happen. But if things get bad enough under Obama in the next 4 years, it becomes a little bit less of a long shot. You never know how they actually back up that threat with actually doing something about it. It would be a net loss for America. They're the second biggest economy in the United States of America. And in my book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, I actually quote an expert about moving out of the United States because taxes are so high, the economy's collapsing and declining. And that expert said, you know what, I don't think you really have to move out of the United States. You could just move to the greatest country in the United States. It's called Texas.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of people out there starting to feel like Texas does things right.
So I know a couple Texans myself, and they are always really, really proud Texans, and you're no exception there. I appreciate you coming on the show. We are at a time. That was Wayne Allen Root, author of The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide.